I think that women mentoring girls and young professional women will be a help to get her their campaign, and later on when those girls and young women reach the professional world and they're looking to break the glass ceiling. I think that to the extent that there's someone on the other side, a frontier woman, so to speak, that they can help reach out and say, hey, come on, you can do this. And if there's not someone who's already surpassed that level, then there will be people to help support them in their quest.
It is beyond rewarding when I see one of my mentees achieve one of their goals. Maybe it's college graduation, maybe it's landing a job they fought so hard for, whatever the case may be. There truly is a visceral reaction. It is exciting, it is emotional, sometimes there are tears, it's amazing. And sometimes there may be dinner to celebrate, whatever the case may be. It's as if one of my children, and I do have 2 children, it's as if one of my children achieved their goals. It's very rewarding, and it reinforces the sacrifices we make to do what we do outside of our jobs.
I think a mentor is a coach, a cheerleader, someone who will listen. And I think about my mentors. It's someone who can help you face your fears, find courage, to be an encourager. There's nothing like someone saying, you can do it, when you think, wow, I don't know how to do that. I don't know anything about it. But then someone else thinks you can, and that's really helpful. And I think it helps you discover things that you don't even know about yourself yet.
The opportunity to provide perspective is something that's special to me as a mentor, and the opportunity to sometimes hear someone else's thoughts and maybe offer them a different perspective than they were thinking about, a fresh set of eyes, or hearing some challenge that they're facing and being able to offer some type of advice that makes them see it in a different way. That is something that that I treasure as a mentor.
To me, mentoring is an unbiased ear. I think the unbiased part is really important because you're meeting someone on their own terms, and sometimes they need a cheerleader. Sometimes they just need an ear, someone who's going to listen so that they can articulate what it is that they're trying to figure out that they might want some input on. And in going through the process of articulation, they often come up with the answer themselves because they're trying to convey what they want input on. Sometimes it's the person that's just going to push you to go one step further.
I think it's really important to be honest. I think one of the most important things a mentor can do is to be somebody like a best friend you've had for 30 years. Somebody who's not just going to tell you what you want to hear, but is going to tell you what you need to hear. It's not always the prettiest, easiest advice to give, but it's what people need to hear. And that's what's going to help them succeed. So people need to find a way to be comfortable communicating that information, realizing that's really what's in your mentee's best interest.
As someone moves through their professional career, there's so many different phases. How are they advancing just within their profession? As a lawyer, you're a young associate. You don't really need to develop too much business because you learn how to write a letter, write a pleading, write a lease. You have to learn the profession. A couple years pass, you need to learn how to cultivate business, so you need to learn how to networking. Did anyone take a class in networking in school? No, you learned how to be a lawyer. Did anyone learn how to come to the office each day on time with a smile, a can-do attitude, checking problems at the door? No. You might have talked about it at the dinner table, but maybe you didn't. And maybe the people that you talked about it at the dinner table had a different perspective. So I think that just based on the phases that change in your life professionally, mentoring is imperative.
It's important to mentor young women about their future and careers because during that age, there's a lot of uncertainty. You feel like you're doing a lot of things wrong, or sometimes you feel like you're not good enough, or at least I know that I did during that age range. And sometimes you feel like what you're going through is the worst thing in the world, and in many instances it can be very difficult circumstances. But to me, one of the best outcomes of mentoring is that the mentee is able to see that their mentor is not perfect, that they have their own story, and that they've had their own walls that they've had to climb, they've had their own battles that they've had to fight, and that they have come out victorious for it. And that those things that seem like the end of the world when you're 16, 17, 18 years old are simply opportunities to grow and become stronger and prepare you for those next steps in life.
I think it's vitally important for girls to see people that look like them in the positions that they aspire to achieve. And for that reason, that's probably the primary reason I do as much mentoring as I do. I feel a responsibility to give back and for these girls to see people that look like them in these roles. I didn't grow up from a privileged background. I didn't have a lot of people that look like me that I could see, and I know how helpful it has been when I've found these opportunities throughout my career. I want to be able to provide that to others. It is truly rewarding, and I honestly feel I have a responsibility to do it.
So I work in a male-dominated field of chemical distribution. There are women in it, which is wonderful, but it is still dominated by men. And one of the things that Allison and I talked about was how is that? And I was remembering myself initially being intimidated. However, I was confident in my education, and so I drew confidence from that. And one of the things that's important, and it doesn't have to be just male-dominated, it just may be where you are different than everyone else, finding your voice. And that happens through listening and finding the courage to speak up, to ask questions, to ask for help. And that's something I found that after you get over the initial fear of doing that people, men, women alike, are generally happy to help. And that's something I think that's very important.
I have had both male and female mentors, and I've been able to gain wonderful perspectives from all sides of this of the spectrum. But one of my one of the lessons that I take with me from one of my mentors, she taught me the importance of telling your story. I think sometimes as women we sort of downplay ourselves, downplay our successes. Don't want to make ourselves shine too much because it may look prideful, and you certainly do want to stay, I think, humble in your accomplishments. However, you do want to make sure that people know and celebrate your successes. And and she, Veronica, was really able to teach me that that's something that we all can celebrate. And something that is so valuable to me is that she did not worry about the light, the shine that it would take away from her by celebrating my successes. So she was a mentor and a colleague in the workplace. And so sometimes, the situation may occur where a woman doesn't know whether or not she wants to support another woman because maybe that'll take away some of the spotlight from me. And Veronica was so exceptional in that never crossed her mind. Not only did she lift me up, but I felt like she, shared my success stories to, things that I wouldn't even know thought to be success stories, and position them in a way that she would share them with senior leadership. And she made sure that folks knew what was going on and the effort that I was putting in and the things that I was doing behind the scenes that weren't on my job description. So it's, to me, that taught me a great lesson that making somebody else shine only makes you shine brighter. And that is a wonderful lesson for me to have received as a mentee.